Hi, this is my reaction video for Chapter 6 for podcasts. Today I listened to the Criminal podcast. I listened to episode 147, Kids on the Case. I thought this episode was particularly interesting because it was all about kids on the case, but it was interviewing kids who had cracked cases that either police couldn't or didn't or whatever. All of these kids were like 10 years old or under. It's just really interesting to me because, like, first of all, you don't think of little kids in big criminal cases. Kids aren't supposed to talk to strangers. Civilians are not supposed to get into detective business. Like, you don't want to talk to a criminal. You don't want your kid talking to a criminal. So I thought it was very strange. Very socially deviant, you might say. The first story, and I think probably the most exciting story, one of the girls, she was actually going to junior district attorney camp, and so she was learning a lot about investigation and all this fun stuff. And then her grandma's house got burglarized, and no one really felt like solving the case. There was a whole story behind why, but no one was solving the case. And Jessica, this young girl, took it upon herself to solve the case. And it got to the point where she even approached the burglars herself and said, "Is this you? You did this?" And so it was just really interesting to see how, I think it said she was 10 or something at the time. And I probably wouldn't do that now. So it was just so, she was just so confrontational and, straightforward. And it was just something you definitely would not expect outside of social norm. And her mom drove her around the whole time. Her mom was encouraging this. And so it was just very, I don't know, very different. Another one that I thought was very out of the ordinary. She was interviewing a man who drives I forget what it's called, but he flies in a helicopter looking for people on the run. And he was flying around looking. He could not find one of the suspects that was on the run from some sort of burglary. They were on the run, and he could not find this one suspect. They lost track of him, and they see these kids in a field doing an Easter egg hunt, and they were like, "Okay, kids, they like a helicopter. They'll wave down a helicopter for anything." And then they take a second look, and these kids are actually laying down on the ground in an arrow pointing to where the man was running. And I just feel like that's such a sight to see, I think he said there was about 8 to 10 kids just laying on the ground in their Sunday best clothes, trying to help. So all sorts of ways that these kids were helping in cracking the case. And definitely I would say a little bit socially deviant, positively socially deviant, because they were helping the kids crack the case. But so yeah, that is my reaction review response to this week's podcast.